Welcome to the Wellness Protocol, your source for guidance on metabolic health, hormones, and longevity. I'm Dr. Alessia Ronelt, double board certified endocrinologist, and on each episode, I'll share simple tools rooted in science and experience to help you feel better, live longer, and take control of your health. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Alessia Ronelt, and I'm so glad you're here listening to my very first episode of the Wellness Protocol. Today, I'm going to introduce myself, share what inspired the show, and explain exactly what you can expect from listening. As a double board certified endocrinologist, I've spent my career trying to navigate that intersection between traditional medicine and lifestyle approaches. But it quickly became clear to me that many people were frustrated, unsure where to turn for advice on how to actually improve their health. The wellness market is saturated with products and gimmicks and tricks. It really can be completely overwhelming trying to navigate what is healthy and what is just a good marketing team. That's why I developed this podcast, to make it easier for you to choose truly healthy and practical solutions. In my podcast, we will talk about tips for losing weight, blood sugar control, balancing hormones. We'll discuss the gut microbiome, thyroid disorders, autoimmune disease, longevity, and everything in between. So join me on this path to getting healthier. Let's start with a fundamental concept, metabolic health. We hear this term all the time, but what does it really mean? In very simple terms, metabolic health describes how efficiently your body converts what you eat into usable energy. Good metabolic health means when you eat foods, you can maintain a stable blood sugar, balanced hormones, healthy weight, steady energy, clear thinking, and a reduced risk of diseases like diabetes, heart disease, even dementia. But this is deeply interconnected with hormones, particularly insulin, cortisol, thyroid hormones, and estrogen and testosterone. These hormones all work together in a delicate balance. And if your hormones are balanced and in sync, you are going to feel energized and clear-headed. But when they aren't, that's when you can start to develop symptoms like fatigue, struggles with your weight, even mood disorders. So what can we do about this? Well, first, let's address some of the biggest myths that I constantly hear from my patients and my social media followers. Myth number one, weight is just calories in and calories out. This is a completely oversimplified idea, and it completely ignores a crucial factor, your specific hormones. Hormones regulate your metabolism, your hunger signals, even how you store fat or how you burn it. Not all calories are equal, especially when hormones like insulin are involved. Myth number two, all carbs are bad and should be avoided. Carbs aren't always the enemy, but context really matters here. So the type of carbohydrate you're eating, the timing of that carbohydrate, what you do after you eat that carbohydrate, whether it's sit on the couch or go for a walk, how you pair that carbohydrate with other food types. These factors can all dramatically change how your body responds to carbs. We're going to deep dive into that topic soon. But for now, just remember that moderation and quality really make a difference. And myth number three, using medications or tools like continuous glucose monitors mean that you failed. That is absolutely not true. Using medications or tools like these glucose monitor devices or metabolism monitoring devices can complement the lifestyle changes that you're making and help you reach your goals more effectively. They're not a sign of failure. They're literally just your strategy for achieving your goal. So let's get practical. What are some actionable things that you can change today or this week to start your path to getting healthier? Well, number one, How you start your day and that first meal of the day is really critical for what's going to happen later in that day in terms of your metabolism. If you start your day with a high carbohydrate breakfast, let's use the example of pancakes with maple syrup. What is going to happen as you eat those pancakes? Your blood sugar will spike and shortly after will crash. That will cause you to feel energetic at first, but very short-lived, because once you have that crash, you're going to feel very, very tired. This is the classic food coma that people experience when they feel like they're overeating. It really is this massive carb load and this sugar crash shortly after eating it. The other problem with eating a carb-based meal like this for breakfast, you are going to be hungry so soon after you eat that meal. Your body metabolizes carbohydrates incredibly fast. So when you just have a carb-heavy meal in the morning, it's out of your system within a few hours and you are going to be hungry again and you're going to be craving more quick fixes, quick access to carbohydrates, and a quick rise in your blood sugar. Another problem with this high carb breakfast is what happens to your insulin levels. When you eat carbohydrates and your blood sugar starts to rise, insulin levels will rise with it. The problem with that is that when your insulin goes up, insulin is also a hormone of fat storage. That means that you've just created a signal for your body to store fat. So anything that you're eating, most of it is going to be stored as fat. It will potentially make your workouts not as effective because your body is in a state of storing, not utilizing fat stores. So when you eat that high carb breakfast, you're setting up your day for an unhealthy metabolic situation. However, if you start your day with a good source of protein, healthy fat, maybe some fiber, that is going to maintain very stable blood sugars. It's going to reduce cravings later in the day. It's going to increase the energy that you have throughout the day. And it's going to allow your body to break down fat stores because your insulin levels will be low. Another tip that you can start to do now, today, this week, is to move after you eat the biggest meal of the day. Studies have shown that by walking for even 2 to 5 minutes after a meal can start to reduce your blood sugar by 20 to 30% just within a few minutes. So if you eat a large dinner, go for a short walk afterwards. If the weather's not great, walk around your house, go up and down some stairs. Even doing some standing squats can help bring down blood sugar quickly and help with your food digestion. And a third thing you really could implement at any time is trying out one of the continuous glucose monitors. These are the devices that you wear on the back of your arm, and they are telling you what your blood sugar is 24/7. The benefit of this is that it allows you to see in real time how your body will be responding to a certain type of food, to a certain type of exercise, even to stress levels. You'll be able to see which foods trigger an increase in blood sugar in your body. You'll be able to see which foods keep your blood sugar very stable. You will be able to see what types of physical activity will bring your blood sugar down the fastest. You'll also be able to see how much stress really does impact blood sugar. So when you get a call from your boss, you will see that blood sugar go right up. So these devices allow you to see what kinds of things in your day-to-day life are affecting your blood sugar and which ones are beneficial and which ones are harmful. These 3 changes are really not drastic, dramatic, too restrictive. They're small, manageable shifts that have the potential to have a really powerful cumulative impact on your health. I would encourage you to give them a try. Now let's dive into some commonly asked questions from my patients because chances are you've wondered some of the same things yourself. So one question I often get is, what should my blood sugar levels be? This is really important for patients who are monitoring on a continuous glucose monitor. It's a great question, but I will say that optimal ranges will vary depending on individual factors. For instance, your age, your overall health, your history of having high blood sugars or normal blood sugars, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant. So there are a lot of differences that we see depending on your body type. But in general, a very healthy fasting blood sugar is somewhere between 70 to 90. Fasting blood sugar means after you haven't had anything to eat for at least 6 hours. So if you see that your blood sugars are in that range of 70 to 90, that is really ideal for your metabolic health. When you start to see that your blood sugar is getting into ranges of 90 to 100 when you're fasting, that is slightly abnormal. It's not high enough to suggest that you have diabetes or even prediabetes, but it's enough of a sign to say, wait a minute, there might be something here that could get worse with time, so we need to really keep an eye on it. And if you are waking up with fasting blood sugars over 100, you would be considered to be in the prediabetes or even diabetes range. If you were to check your blood sugar 2 hours after eating a meal, ideally it should be less than 120. Remember, it's important that these ranges are not the same for everyone, so it's always important to check with your doctor, and we will dive deeper into this in an upcoming episode on blood sugar. Another question that I commonly get from my patients is, which supplements should I be taking? I have patients come into the office with a bag of supplements. They fill the table with all of these different remedies that they've been taking. Some were suggested by other physicians, some were suggested by a friend, some they saw it on Instagram or on a podcast, and many times it's too much. My philosophy is pretty clear. If you are eating nutritious foods and a wide range of foods, you are getting adequate sleep, you are staying hydrated, and you incorporate daily routine exercise, you probably do not need 99% of the supplements in that bag that you have or in that cabinet that you store them. Vitamin D is one that oftentimes many people need because we get vitamin D from the sun, and in many areas of the world, we don't get enough direct sunlight for our D to be high enough. Some people need additional supplements like vitamin C to support their immune system. Others may need fish oil to support their cardiovascular health. So there are certain supplements that may serve different purposes depending on your overall health. However, you can't beat out a good lifestyle. And that really is number one, the most important thing to start with. And a third question that I get at least once a day is, does everybody need to be gluten and dairy free to be healthy? My answer to this is absolutely not. The reason why people even talk about being gluten or dairy free is because these are two food groups that generally tend to be more pro-inflammatory than others. For many people, especially those with a history of autoimmune disease, such as eczema or Hashimoto's disease or seasonal allergies, those people do tend to be more sensitive to the environment than other people. So for instance, when they eat a pro-inflammatory food like gluten, it bothers their stomach, they don't feel great, they feel sluggish or bloated, maybe they get some joint pain the next day or headaches. Their body is telling them, don't eat this, it's not good for you, it's causing inflammation. But for someone else who maybe doesn't have a history of autoimmune disease, they might be able to tolerate gluten just fine, actually. So I oftentimes tell my patients, it depends on what your body is telling you. A good way to approach this is to consider taking one of these pro-inflammatory food groups out of your diet for a course of 6 weeks. The reason I say 6 weeks is it takes time for inflammation to go down, and you want to really know if you're feeling better or not without that product. So if you were to go, for instance, gluten-free for 6 weeks, and at the end of that 6 weeks, you realize, wow, my skin is softer. I'm losing less hair. I'm not having as much bloating. I'm sleeping better. These are all signs that maybe gluten is not the best thing for you to be eating, and you might consider keeping it out of your diet for the long haul. But if at the end of the 6 weeks you say, I feel exactly the same, and it's actually very difficult to live on a gluten-free diet, you can try adding it back in and taking out one of the other food groups, such as dairy. Again, doing it for that 6-week trial. So I oftentimes encourage my patients to at least give a dietary elimination of one of these pro-inflammatory food groups a try. But if your body says you're not having an issue with it, generally you can add it back in. If any of these questions sparked some new ones, please send them my way. Comment on the podcast, send me a message on my Instagram because I love answering what's on the top of your mind. Before we finish up, I want to leave you with a few tips to try to help give your metabolism a little boost and balance those hormones. My first tip would be absolutely get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night if possible. Deep sleep impacts the production of hormones, especially cortisol, insulin, and growth hormone. Here are some simple ways that you can try to achieve better sleep. Number 1, keep your room cool, around 65 degrees Fahrenheit if possible. Number 2, minimize screen time about an hour before you go to bed. And number 3, aim for a consistent bedtime and wake-up time. This helps to keep your circadian rhythm in check, and it will be easier for you to fall asleep. Another tip for staying healthy is to hydrate. Many people do not realize actually how much water they're supposed to be drinking every day. The rule of thumb is you need at least half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. So for instance, if you weigh 150 pounds, you need to be drinking at least 75 ounces of water a day. That is a lot. Keep in mind, usually a glass of water is about 8 ounces. So we're saying 75 ounces if you weigh 150 pounds. But that will ensure that you are staying hydrated because your body needs water. And tip number 3, you want to keep some hormone-friendly snacks handy when you can. One of my most favorite snacks is a handful of just some raw nuts like almonds and a little bit of some dark chocolate. I really like the kind it's either 80% dark or even higher, and pair it with some fresh berries. Why do I like this combo? Well, the almonds provide the healthy fat and fiber that you need. The chocolate, especially a nice dark chocolate, is going to offer some antioxidants and magnesium. And the berries are going to give you a powerful anti-inflammatory boost. Plus, it tastes delicious and it's good for blood sugar. So try some of these tips this week and see how your body responds. Because again, small actions over time can really have a huge effect. Over the next few weeks, we'll dive deeper into many critical topics like weight management, perimenopause and menopause, thyroid conditions, PCOS, longevity, and more. I've also lined up some experts from across the field to have on the podcast, so we'll be able to get insight from other professionals. I want this podcast to be a conversation, not a monologue. So if you found something helpful today, please share this episode, screenshot it, tag me on Instagram. My handle is endohealthdoc, and tell me your biggest takeaway. Let's spread practical, clear advice together. And don't forget to subscribe and follow the show wherever you're listening so that you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you, and I hope this becomes your favorite source of straightforward health advice. Until next time, stay curious, be well, and remember, you're in charge of your health, and small changes make a huge difference.